Hey everybody, Matt Monster here, back with Marvel Heroes, and I got Invisible Woman to 60, so she's back up on chopping block here, and definitely got a build that I like. It's a little slow on the go, but it gets the job done really well and really safe. And a lot of people are complaining that she's squishy, and I actually find that she's not squishy, but I built her probably a complete and utter opposite direction than most people are going to go. Um, so some of you probably already know my joke of the day, which is, when asked how the Invisible Woman is, I say she's quite visible. And ironically, about all the stealth characters, she's probably the least stealthy of them all. Well, that's because of some bugs. So I'm going to cover the bad first and go over the bugs. And the first bug I notice is this storm of spheres, which would be an interesting ability to have. It could be some decent sustained damage. It works just like a normal AoE that you put on the ground, and it's stationary. However, there's no slow or snare or anything to it like most other AoEs that in this nature. So you'd want to recast it as bosses moved around. That would make sense. However, once you put it into place, it's there for its area duration. You cannot recast it. You cannot put it in a new place. You have to wait for it to expire to put it up again, making it in higher level content almost useless. It's just not a good skill. That fact alone, I mean, you should at least let us, if you're not going to let us blanket the area full of these little spheres, I understand, but let us drop the usually you can put a new one up and the old one goes away. You can't even do that. So I don't know if that's a bug or working as intended. Not sure, can't tell. Current development team doesn't seem to have its head screwed on entirely well. There are a lot of bugs in here. The next really bad bug is this invisible combat, which is supposed to be a stealth toggle. By activating it, when you're out of combat for about 2 seconds, you go into stealth mode and you're invisible. That's why you're the Invisible Woman. However, it doesn't always work, and it won't always put you into stealth. And we say stealth instead of invisibility because when stealth, when you make an attack, it'll break your invisible or your stealth. And true invisibility, which is where they're kind of going with their wording here, will let you attack while invisible, which is why invisibility is a strong skill and it uses the focus. You activate it, you can actually keep your attacks up and stay invisible. So it's a very interesting skill to have. This seems to be working as intended. One of the things I wanted to work with invisible combat was the ability, because this lasts for 2 seconds and you can basically use it 3 times, giving you 6 seconds of invisibility, to hopefully have stealth kick in, which it should kick in after 2 seconds of breaking combat. Put you in stealth mode. However, it doesn't work, not all the time, not even close to all the time. And so therefore it's a useless tactic. It would have been a great tactic, and you could reset the fight and set up your fight against the boss again and unload and go invisible and unload and go invisible. It would be an interesting concept, kind of like what Nightcrawler can do, but you can't. So that's an oh well. Your signature move here is a little buggy because the damage doesn't seem to always apply. For something that does such big damage, it seems to do such little damage to things. So it might be the same problem with Nightcrawlers, where if you spam the button, you lose the damage. If you remember his signature, if you hit the button more than once a second, everything else besides once a second didn't do damage for a while. This appears to be the case here. You have to slowly hit it, which is kind of disappointing because one of the strengths is, and the way they're wording it here, is a developer's trick or a developer's mislead. And I don't know why they're purposely misguiding you. They should be purposely guiding you to the strength of this skill, which is the fact that you get 4 stacks of 20% damage negation. Why they're wording it this way, I don't know. They should be saying, hey, you get 80% damage negation, and you can burn off 20% and do damage. That makes a lot more of an impact when you say you're negating 80% of the damage. That's what they don't want to say. I don't know why. They're giving the skill to you. It lasts for 8 seconds. So ideally what you'd want to be able to do is keep it up for 7 seconds and have 80% damage negation, and then blow off the 4 stacks at the last second to get the damage out before the buff expired. That way you'd maximize your damage negation and then your damage potential as well. So however, how it works now to really get the best benefit is you hit it when you're in trouble and you keep the damage negation up, and you ignore the fact that you can burn off 4 stacks for double the damage. Which is why you can see in this build it's only got 1 point. It's not that kind of, I'll go into that in a little bit. So going into another bugged skill is the Crusher. For some reason, as opposed to every other skill you got, this is the one animation that's a summon as opposed to all the other projections. They're all projections that she does. This is a projection as well, but it's tagged as summon instead of just a ranged ability or an area ability. I don't know why. It's horribly done. They didn't put their time into it. Hopefully they'll clean up this and make it much more intuitive and make this a ranged or an area. Area would be much better. However, it does act kind of as a pet, more like a Squirrel Girl pet, where it can't get killed. There's no hit points to it. It can't taunt, and nothing will ever attack it. So it's not really a pet. It's just something that rolls around and does damage, like the squirrels. Calling these things pets is really stretching it. If it could die and could take some aggro and taunted, I would call it a pet. That would be interesting. However, it doesn't. So therefore, I don't really think of it as a summon. I think of it as a projection. It's a little wrecking ball that runs around and squishes things. I like it, but it's mistagged. I really think it should. You can keep the summon tag on it. Maybe it should call it area. However, it's bugged in the fact that sometimes they stand still. They get stuck. You can't summon them in certain spaces. They have to have wide enough space to be summoned. A little bit wider than the actual size that they appear, which is about the size of this summoning portal right here, or this little portal waypoint shrine thing here. So you need a lot of space, and some corridors aren't that wide, and they won't go through it, and they won't summon in it. That's very, very annoying. And it shouldn't really be, considering, well, I guess it's a force projection. Maybe it shouldn't fit. It's hard to guess. I'm not really an invisible woman, all knowledgeable. Another skill that is not working as intended is force spikes. It's either working as intended and does nothing, or it's not working as intended and sometimes it slows, sometimes it stops objects like it says it does with the large spike, and it definitely doesn't do damage, at least any damage that I can see being reported or reflected on the monster's hit point bars. So when that will get fixed, who knows. This is all a result of only 4 days of testing instead of 2 weeks like they used to do with characters. I really think they need to sit down and rethink their greed before greed and greed and greed again methodology that's going on right now. But maybe that's why the servers are having so much problems with lag and latency and kickoffs, is maybe they're having issues financially. Hard to say. So that covers the bad. The good is she is quite capable in cosmic areas. She can do whatever she wants, really, actually. The build that I got working here, which is I call spheroid galore, is basically just spheres everywhere. I'm going to use bouncing discs as my main attack. Why not? I mean, it hits 9 targets. It's crazy damage, destroys multiple targets, summoning bosses. It's awesome. It's free. It's like Cyclops', maybe even better than Cyclops. It's hard to say. We're going to obviously point out combat force fields. This is giving us damage rating, critical rating, and bonus damage rating on spending focus. This build will not spend focus too much, so that part is pretty much pointless. But there's also a 20% chance to deal 3,000 energy damage twice per second for 6 seconds. So that's pretty nice. We're also going to put 20 points into the Crusher. These little things will float around. They'll work 75% of the time. You'll probably find them annoying, but they're good enough to do their damage. They have a tether to you. That's a secondary problem with this. The tether is about 2/3 of the screen. So they only attack things up to about 2/3 of the screen of the way. They could be attacking farther and just not rolling out that way. Hard to say. I think they're very poorly coded. I think that's another problem. We're going to put points into personal force field. This is going to give you a massive amount of defense rating, a massive chunk of projectile deflection chance, a big chunk of health on hit. Even though it's only once per second, it's definitely on a 1 second cooldown, internal cooldown. It's definitely nice to have some extra something or another for free. And then if you drop below 20% health, it puts you into invisibility where you can still attack and everything, but nothing can see you. And it'll do that once every 30 seconds. That's the other thing that's really good about it. The other thing we're going to point out is Seeker Orbs. So we're talking about spheres. Spheres galore. And well, that's probably a better name, huh? Spheres galore. We'll go with that. What these are going to do are just like Iron Man's missiles. They'll fire away, and you don't have to aim. You can just fire them off, and they'll hit targets for you. You can do them once every 3 seconds, and they do decent damage. The 3-second cooldown kind of limits their potential. However, if you're in a highly mobile situation and you don't have time to aim, they're awesome because they're just continued sustained damage against a boss you're running from or hiding from. You could be around the wall, it goes over the wall, it goes around the wall. They're pretty nasty. The final 20 points is going to be in protective spheres. Like I said, spheres galore. This gives us a big chunk of defense again. A nice 8.5% chance to block attacks, all for 20% or 20 spirit. So that's pretty sweet right there. You want to make sure that's always active. And have 1 point into Shield Dome. As you can see with my gear, it's at 12, would giving me 15.5% damage negation. And actually, while you're in there, there's an extra 817 defense rating and another 38.5% projectile deflection. It lasts for 5 seconds. I put 1 point in flight just for if you're moving around Midtown or something. It's nice to get to the boss as quick as possible. Also, getting around X defense is pretty handy. And then I put a point into quantum compression. I do not point the skill out because I don't see it for its potential and damage. Why don't I do that? Is because whenever I get in trouble with a boss, the first button I'm going to click is this one. I'm going to leave it alone. It's going to give me 80% damage negation. If I'm in serious trouble with that boss, I'm dropping the Shield Dome again. That's giving me 95.5% damage negation for 5 seconds. I can hit my med kit, and my med kit gets full. I get my full benefit of my med kit before this stuff wears off. And I still got 80% after this 15% goes away. I mean, that's just a long time in this game. Again, I don't know what they're thinking, but they made her like what Captain America was for a limited time. So that's 95.5% damage negation for 5 seconds and 80% damage negation for another 3 seconds. You can do this once every 30 seconds, and you can drop this every 13 seconds. So very, very interesting that they went this route with her. So that's what I'm doing. Like I said, I'm definitely going a direction I think nobody else is going with her. Most people think DPS. I go beyond 3-letter words. So gearing wise, ideal advanced Phoenix Feather. It's almost 500 energy rating. We're all energy attacks here. Even the summon is energy damage. I don't know if it benefits from it. Well, we can test it out. Let's see. 4598. 4598. So the summon does not benefit from it, but everything else is going to benefit from it. Another high benefit from this is if you should die, it reses you for you once every 10 minutes. That's awesome. With half-life. So, oh, it does heal the rest over time too. That's interesting too. So you'll know when that effect goes off because you'll die and you'll stand in place for a second and you'll go to half-life. I went with the Advanced Hammer Ordnance. This is like a freebie slot right now. It's a big chunk of damage rating now. They upped it dramatically, and with a 12% chance to knock back when I hit with a basic power. I'm spamming these a lot. So these are bouncing around a lot, so I'm thinking this will knock things around a lot. It doesn't seem to be happening. Kind of a test I got going on, but it's a big chunk of damage rating. As you can see, without the hit point artifacts, I'm at a massive amount of health already. That is because of Juggernaut's medallion. Kind of thinking things really outside the box on her. +1 durability. 4% chance to become invulnerable for 4 seconds when you're attacked every 25 seconds. 450 defense, 2,000 health, +2 to all powers, obviously because of Cosmic. I had it. I liked it. It kind of coincided. As you can see, she's at 7 durability without it already. So she's up there. She's got some. I got some gear on her though. Advanced Super Soldier Serum. Health is hard to get, and any kind of health regeneration will help. This is health regeneration, spirit regeneration, defense, and attack speed. It's just an awesome artifact. I don't know how you could live without it. Unless you don't need attack speed, then it gets questionable if you need it or not. An advanced metasensory array. Again, part of this is dealing with these bouncing discs and spamming them out as fast as possible. So attack speed, damage rating, and +1 all powers. I mean, that's a lot of damage. That's probably around 500 damage rating +1. So this is a big boost to everything. On the Uru, for the heck of it, I went with Fire Barrage. This is 200 damage rating with range powers, 200 damage rating with energy powers. Both of them are covered. And 2% chance when I hit to cause a target to burn for 20,000 energy damage over 5 seconds. I haven't played with it yet, so I figured for Hee-Haws I would try it out. Relic of Lemuria, obvious choice. Always going to be. Ring, it was a ring that had health on it. I have a lot of crit, so crit damage does help. And Spirit was okay. I don't need Spirit in this build at all, but that's okay. The strength on this build will be the fact that you have more than enough Spirit to charge around and spam out Seeker Orbs every 3 seconds, because that's all you're doing. And you'll almost never run out of Spirit charging around. That's how much movement you can maintain. It's pretty awesome. So I do have a level 51 Johnny Storm's Flames. That's a unique of hers. And this +1 energy, +5 to her invisibility powers. Everything else is kind of plus 175 damage rating, energy attacks, 233 crit. Earth 1610 boots, a big chunk of health again. Plus 709 damage rating versus targets not attacking you. That's nice, but most things will be when you're solo, so it's not going to count here so much. Here's another bug of hers: 7% chance when you're attacked to gain 14% movement speed and 7.2% for 15-second cooldown. So that's interesting. That's exactly what it says. And 7.2% for a 15-second cooldown. It doesn't fill out what it's supposed to do. This is +5 to her static force powers and +3 to personal force field. This is where all the defense is coming in. It's all these pluses over here. And then I got her Malice's Cape, level 53, plus 192 damage with area powers. That is helping out secret orbs. It's area tagged. Big chunk of defense. A brutal strike rating on there. Some frills, +1 to all powers, +4 to quantum compression, and 11.8% power duration. That's nice. Future Foundation bodysuit, that's her defense. That's another +1 durability. And then when you or an ally drops below 30% health, shield that player, absorbing 2,185 damage with a 15-second cooldown. That's awesome. 1,200 health, 1 durability. You revive allies 30% faster. 5% chance when you're attacked for you and your teammates to gain 550 defense, 550 dodge, and 7% projectile deflection for 5 seconds. +1 all powers, and +3 to protective spheres. And then I didn't get her a weapon, but I did get on her Death Seed. So I gave her Death Seed. 940 damage rating, 263 crit, 621 brutal strike rating, 1,500 health, 4,000 health regen, 14% chance to revive at full with health and spirit when you die, 10-minute cooldown. That will put you to full health. It does a nice fiery effect on the ground and you kneel. It's pretty interesting. Core, all health of course, and I have a 25% or 3,000. I'm calling it 3 to 1 now, a 3 to 1 core. 3,000 health, 100 spirit on medkit use. 3 to 1 core. That's what they should be now. And this is as good as I got so far. It's just a chance to turn invisible when I attack and extra movement speed. So she is very, very, very adequately geared, but we'll do a Cosmic Kingpin. So the other thing about the summons that's kind of weird is you can only summon one every 5 seconds and they last 30 seconds. I don't know why, if you can have a total of 3, why you just can't summon 3, and why you just can't have them. But yes, this is Cosmic. As you can see with the durability and the defense and the regen on the passive there, damage is getting offset pretty good. That's the bug right there. They're getting stuck. The pet. You can see it just stands there. Then it starts moving. No idea what that's about, but it does it quite often. And I actually don't know if it's actually stuck or not. I don't know if it's lag, but you can see it just sits there. Also, I don't know if this hammer ordnance is actually a knockback anymore and not a knockdown. They do appear to get knocked down quite a bit, and I'm thinking it's turned into a knockdown and just not been reworded. Hard to say, see how they keep getting knocked down. Could also be Falcon's ability there. It's kind of funny because these things basically look like big things of pollen. There was an issue summoning there. It wouldn't summon for me. See how it won't go through the doorway? I have to summon it past the doorway, and then it won't move through the door. Let's see if this one will. Nope. So, very poorly coded. I don't know how they could have me be having money issues. I see people with costumes all over the place, people spending money. Even if that was the case, they are doing it the wrong way. If you're a company having money issues, you do not cut back on quality. You improve quality. Cutting back on quality kind of kills you. I don't know. I'm an American company, what do I know? Look at that. I think they're bugging him out. I can't damage him when they're bugged out like that either. That's interesting. Never noticed that before. Let's see, still need 35. So, once you get them unbugged, as you can see, they work really well at grinding things up. And they'll do basically the same thing in the boss. It'll take a little bit of time. But you can move around at will. There's a summoning problem again. I couldn't summon him there because the fork truck was in the way. Everyone's sending me tells. Look at that bounce back and forth. I love that ability. I think it's one of the best bounce abilities so far. That was me using the Invuln shield. Oh, my guy died. I'll leave him dead for the boss fight anyways. So as you can imagine, your problem's going to be with, oh, jeez, can't even see it. The missile deflection shield, but the balls, the little spike balls here, they go right through it. As you can see, I got my durability enough to take up all this damage. What's nice is he's summoning a storm up, but I can't see because of this building. It hit me pretty hard, so I put the damage shield up. I don't know why this building is blocking my sight here. I don't remember that being in effect before. I remember hanging out in that corner all the time. It was rather annoying, but real easy. You just have to keep it up. A lot of people are having trouble with the cosmics. She did it pretty good. I guess the cosmic bonus is, or the bonus is off for the terminals now. That sucks. Or maybe, oh, I didn't open the chest yet. Maybe this is it. There it is. Oh, nothing great. So, that's Spheres Galore. I named it sort of after maybe a certain James Bond character. But she's very capable, especially if you build her up You know, the hit points are up there. I almost got 21,000. All our gear is pretty tanky. I added extra tankiness with the Juggernaut medal. I mean, I thought about going extra tankiness with the Euro and really just going behind it, but I decided to back up some damage. Kind of longer fights, but those spheroids will do the damage, and you can move around, like I said. One time I think I was running out of spirit only because I wasn't spending the medkits, regenerating it, not getting back 25%. Well, in this case, I think I'm only getting 25%. I'm not getting the full 100. So not burning the medkits to get the spirit back was kind of holding me back maybe a little bit during that part. Other than that, you can just move around and continuously, slowly damage, continuous damage, maintain the damage, and stay away from all the trouble. And you have more than enough mitigation to take an initial hit, and then you have further mitigations and shields to prevent any extra damage from getting through once you do take that big hit, like you make a mistake and something happens that you just get hit really hard. You pop the signature. I think that's the beauty of the signature. I didn't even do the 95% bit. I just did the 80% bit in this. I could have dropped that shield sit still and just sat there and spammed some discs for a few seconds and let the medkit regen me. You know, I choose to be more mobile, and that's basically how this one works. It's definitely the safest road and probably the easiest way to solo Cosmics. Grouping, it will be even easier because you can stand and spam instead of move and hit and run. So that's how it works. Spheres galore. So I hope it helps. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll talk to everyone later.